Sakura, the Japanese word used for a cherry blossom tree. The cherry blossom tree is the national flower of Japan. Every year, villages, towns, and cities across Japan warmly welcome spring with waves of cherry blossoms. One of the national flowers, the cherry blossom, or Sakura, holds a very special place in Japanese culture. For centuries, people have flocked to see all these beautiful flowers in bloom. There are flower viewing festivals dedicated all over Japan, and these festivals attracted crowds of flower-loving tourists and locals alike. Here are some examples of the cherry blossom in Japanese art. It is a very popular motif in Japanese painting. Cherry blossoms are an example of the simple beauty that can be found in nature. Note the interesting lines in the branches and the pop of color of the blossoms. Throughout Japan, during the celebration of spring, you will find cherry blossoms everywhere, from the displays in stores, to restaurants, to products, to beauty products. In the United States of America, in Washington, D.C., the National Cherry Blossom Festival is a big spring celebration. It started way back on March 27th of 1912, when the Japanese gave a gift to the city of Washington, D.C. and donated trees to enhance this growing friendship between the United States and Japan. Here are some examples of artwork done with just black and white and a pop of pink color. For our Sakura artwork today, you will need white paper, a pencil, a tissue for blending that pencil. If you have a twig or two in your yard for some inspiration, I actually have a cherry blossom tree that bloomed late, so I had a couple of these on my driveway. If you don't have them, don't worry about, but I had some flowers on the driveway that blew down. But if you don't have that, you could use a pink or a fuchsia colored crayon and just maybe a black pen for some outlines. If you don't have pink crayons at home, because I know we have limited supplies, boys and girls, you can also use some old magazines where you can find some colors of pink and cut out, and I'll show you that later. So we're going to start out with just a pencil and some white paper and a tissue for blending. Some of the artwork that you saw in the video just showed black and white samples of art with just the pop of color with the pink. So what we're going to do is prepare this white paper so it starts to be shaded gray and then gets lighter, and it will give some dimension and depth. So I'm going to start in the corner here, and when I shade with my pencil, I only use the side of the pencil. I don't draw where I'm getting scratchy lines. I don't want to see that. I just want to see the side of the pencil. And what we're going to do is get a little bit of a grayscale or a value study. So this pencil can actually go from very dark, if I press hard, which I want to try to do, and then lighten it up as I go along. Now you're probably wondering what the tissue is there for, and I'm going to show you in a second. So what I'm doing is I'm just shading in some of this white paper, because it's going to be a little bit boring if we keep it all white, and we want to add some dimension to our artwork. Now as you can see, as I'm going further and further away, I'm getting lighter and lighter and lighter with my pencil. When I get closer to the bottom, I'm going to push down a little harder and get that a little bit darker. So we're going to try to see all the values of black. And it should be a nice smooth progression. I'm almost going to go like halfway up the page with this. And if you have a little texture or lines showing, it's okay. You could use your eraser to blend, or you can use this tissue. Now with the tissue, a pencil is really cool because pencils, if you rub them, can blend and look very soft and smoky. So you're gonna keep shading and blending until you get the desired effect where your paper goes from dark to light and it looks really smooth. The more you blend with the tissue, the more you can make that look very smooth. It probably popped up a little bit better if I put glass behind it. There you go. Now you can see the different shades of gray. Now the next step after you have your background done is you're going to sketch a branch right across your paper. You could either trace a branch that you find in your yard, or you could just draw your own. Remember, branches are not perfect. I would just start out with like a line right across that paper. And remember, it's bigger on the bottom, towards the bottom of the branches. They get bigger and then they split. And I would make a bunch of branches coming in different directions. Have it go right off that page. And this is going to be up to you how you want your branches to look. And I'm sketching it very lightly. And I'm going to have it go right off the page. Now using pencil again, I'm going to shade this in, and then I'm going to show you how we're going to make our cherry blossom flowers. And when I shaded in my branch, I pressed a lot harder with my pencil. I can outline some spots. You could even use some black pen or some black paint if you wanted to use paint, depending on what your supplies are at home. And even if you wanted to use, I have one sample here that's done without doing the shading for my younger students with just a dark brown crayon. You can make a branch with just a dark brown crayon, maybe some black outlines. But keep it simple because we want this to really pop up. So I'm going to continue to shade this, and I'm going to show you how we're going to add our cherry blossoms on. So there's a few ways that we can finish this off with our cherry blossoms. Remember, I had collected a couple of these on my yard. Now, if you don't have cherry blossoms to glue to your artwork, don't worry about it because there's a couple of different options. If you do have these, what you can do is pull the petals off and glue them right to your artwork so it looks like this. So what you would do is put dots of glue and layer them right on top of the branches, just little dots of glue. And wherever there's a dot of glue, you just pull one of the petals off and you stick it right down to your artwork. And that's how you add your cherry blossom leaves. And they look really, really pretty, and it adds a lot of texture. Now, if you do not have a late blooming cherry blossom tree like I did in my yard, you can just use a separate piece of white paper and you can draw them. And it's super easy to draw. What I like to do is line them up and draw a bunch at a time so that I can just cut them out and we'll paste them on. What I do is actually just draw 4 ovals. 1, 2, 3, 4, because remember these don't have to look perfect. And I can add a little fuchsia pink to maybe add the center. So I use two colors of pink to give it a little more dimension. And I draw a bunch of these and then cut them out. So 4 ovals. Because we're just doing quick. It's going to give the effect of all these flowers, but it doesn't have to look so perfect. And I'm going to keep drawing these, and then I'm going to cut them out, and we can do it that way. So as I cut these out, I could either collect them, or again, I can add dots of glue on the back of each flower and just layer them on top of my branches, however you think looks beautiful. And that's another way to add your cherry blossoms. The last way, for those of you who have no crayons at home or no markers at home, is look through old magazines and some newspapers, and you'd be surprised about how many things you can find to be cut out with some pink color. Remember, we're looking for that bright pink or light pink or baby pink. We want them to look like cherry blossoms. So right here in this advertisement, there's actual roses. Now you don't have to make them look like the actual flower. You could just cut out little circular shapes even. You don't even have to make it so perfect because it's still gonna give the effect of a cherry blossom. As long as you have a little shape or a round part of your flower and you layer that, it's gonna still give the effect of cherry blossoms and it's gonna look really beautiful. So here are two examples of our Japanese inspired art, Sakura, and our cherry blossom branches. This one used actual cherry blossom flowers that were found in the yard and add a little texture, and this one we cut them out. It's just black and white pencil drawings with black pen and a little pop of color. I hope you enjoyed my video. I can't wait to see your artwork. Don't forget to take a picture.